Hey folks, welcome back to episode 16 of E2E. So last time we were working on the resonant cell frame. So we set up the empty frame production in the thermionic fabricator right at the end there. We have, remember, everything here except for the pulsating mesh and the boron nitride. I decided just to go ahead and set that up because it's really not too bad. It's only a couple machines here, so I'll just show you really quick how this works. So we have one electrolytic separator making hydrogen, and that's being converted into a liquid. And then we have a melter with boron. Both of those get converted, or combined, sorry, in the chemical reactor into diborane. The diborane gets mixed with water, and that creates boric acid. The second chain here has a nitrogen collector here with a chemical reactor. This also borrows the hydrogen from this machine, reacts it with the nitrogen, and we get ammonia. The ammonia is then mixed with the boric acid from up here, and that creates this boron nitride solution. That gets crystallized first into hexagonal boron nitride, and then pressurized into these, pressurized into the cubic boron nitride that we need for the recipe. So that just leaves the pulsating mesh, which I did end up farming. I don't think I have all we're going to need, but it's a start. We'll be able to get some of the frames at least, and I'll just basically farm as needed. Also, the quantum compressor that was here has finished, and we got this matter condenser, which I'm now just borrowing the chisel and bits tank things that I'm using to make this scrap from the recycler, this chiseled bit, and using integrated dynamics just to you basically just have to trash 256,000 items. So this moves a stack per second. So yeah, we now have singularities. And with that, I can now upgrade our dank null and eventually get the infinity booster card once I get this anglicite. We're actually not too far off this anglicite though. Anyways, I'm going to first make this dank null just to have the upgrades. It's not too bad, it's just some black iron, which we have tons of, and emeralds, and then the singularity. Alright, there's the dank null. I'll eventually transfer over all the items the next time I'm doing some building. But I'll probably just leave it in a chest here just to remind me, and I'll do that later on. But anyways, today I want to finish with the resonant cell frame and move on to fusion crafting as well. So I think we can now automate this recipe, which means we'll have to set up this extended crafting core. We had that set up down here before, but I ended up tearing that out and replacing it with this instead. So I'm going to have to think about where I want the extended crafting to live. There's one more thing about this recipe that I remembered that I would like to keep in this same room, and that is these blocks of Mirion and Osgo glass. These we're making as fluids right here, but I just have to add ingot formers, and I was just going to put that right here. Alright, so I have some ingot formers set up here. I'll just show you quickly how this works. So I have the two ender tanks with Mirion and Osgo glass. They go into the ingot former, and then I have level emitters here on the back, and it's only extracting without a signal, and this is set to 64 ingots for each of the Osgo glass and Mirion, so we won't produce any more than 2 stacks. 1 stack will be sitting in the ingot former, and 1 stack will be in the ME system. So this prevents using all the liquids in here and just burning through the fuel. And as for the Osmerarium block, this block here, we have this on autocraft, and this metallurgic fabricator is insanely fast, so this is just some iridium and osmium. So when we set up the autocraft with PackageAuto for this recipe here, this 82 will just craft the Osmerarium block. We're actually quickly running out of room as well, so I might just extend it on to this little grass area here, and put the extended crafting and also the draconic crafting and things, and then leave this side a bit more open, maybe change up this rocket pad. Alright, so I ended up getting a bit ahead of myself here. I kind of finished up this area. We have now an area for the extended crafting, and I roofed off all of this section. I'll show the inside as well actually. It really changes out the way it feels. Some stuff ended up a little weird, like these flat walls here, and the roof as well, not exactly happy with that. So I got it all joined in here. This is the original Ender IO room. And then this is the corridor up to the first processing room. Then the 82 area, I put a roof on this as well. And then we can come down this walkway here to the blood ore. And right at the back here is our extended crafting area. So I actually started setting this up and then thought I should slow down and explain kind of what I'm doing here. So we're going to use PackagedAuto for these big crafts, for the cell frame and for the fusion core. And there's a bunch of other stuff. Basically anything bigger than 9x9, or sorry, 3x3, you're best to use PackagedAuto. And what PackagedAuto allows you to do is basically compress recipes into fewer items in order to send the items to a packager, which packaged all the items into one package. And then at the other side you can unpack them, craft the item, and then the final product will be sent back to the AE system. So that's what we're going to set up here. So for this you're going to need a packager, and a recipe encoder, and an unpackager. The recipe encoder can be placed anywhere, it doesn't need to be connected to AE2. Think of it like the pattern terminal where you encode recipes. The packager needs to be connected to AE2, it also needs power, but you can use the ME conduit to power it as well, as long as your network has power. And the unpackager also has to be connected by an interface as well, so you're best just to put interface, unpackager, and then some sort of inventory. So in order to encode the recipe, you'll need a package recipe holder. You put the recipe holder in this top slot here of the recipe encoder. Then next you can just import from JEI, and usually this should just work. I haven't had any problems just importing like this. And then you should see, make sure it's on processing, you should see the output, and then you just hit save recipe. And this will provide two packages on the bottom here. Now when we put this package into the packager, you'll see a recipe for two packages here. This one's extra, this is for an extra one on the recipe. But it'll be index 1, which is for the resonant cell frame, and index 0. So next we're going to tell AE2 how to basically send the recipe. We want to make this resonant cell frame here, so we come to JEI, move items, and then obviously there won't be enough slots for all the items, right? So you take both of your packages, so that's index 0 and index 1, and make that equal to the final product. Encode that, and then put that in the interface that was connected to the unpackager. Alright, so now once the recipe is sent by JEI, it will be unpacked here. And then all the items will be going to the storage crate. So now we have to filter the items that go on the pedestals, because once all these items show up, it'll also show up the middle one, and we don't want the middle item going on one of these pedestals because that will stall the craft. So what we can do is just filter these two slots from the storage crate on the output. One will be a whitelist, one will be blacklist, and the whitelist one will go to the crafting core, and the blacklist one will go to all the pedestals, and the filters are going to be the exact same. It's just going to be for the middle item, so that we only have to filter the one item rather than all the extra ones. Alright, so let's say we'll make this side the output for the middle. So we want to whitelist the empty frame here, because that's the one that's only going to be allowed to go into the middle, and it's going to be on the extract. I'll extract on brown. And then this other extract here will be the exact same, except it will be blacklist. There we go, and then I'll extract that on blue. So then the middle one there, we want to insert on brown, or whatever colour you picked here. And then I'm just extracting on purple, and the purple will go back into the interface, and this will be the finished product. And then all these pedestals will be insert on blue. Alright, so I think I have all the item conduits set now. The only thing left now is to power this core. So I'm going to put a flux point on there. And then let's just try this recipe. So resonant cell frame full. It's going to request the two packages. It looks like it's good to go. Yep. All the items made it on. What happened to the middle item? I thought it would be like the Empowerer, where it's smart enough to only pull the finished product, but it looks like we're going to have to filter that as well. So that's easy enough just to fix, and we can just put a filter on the insert for the purple for the finished cell frame. Alright, so all the items are removed. Let's try the recipe again. Alright, so it says we have all the items. It's going to craft the recipes this time, so we'll get a chance to see that as well. Or we won't see it because it'll go to the packager, but yeah, let's see if all the items end up on this core, as they should. And they are. It is crafting. This does take a tremendous amount of energy, but it looks like it finished. The crafting task completed itself, so it doesn't get stuck in JEI, and there is our resonant frame. So I think we're just missing the Wyvern energy core here for this recipe for the fusion crafting. That should be an easy fix. I should just be able to put a recipe in here because I have a fluid transposer filled with destabilized redstone. So it's just a draconic core filled with 10,000 millibuckets. And actually I should upgrade this machine as well while I'm at it. Alright, so that's it, resonant. So we should just be able to have processing pattern, and then energy core, like that. And then we'll say redstone, fluid transposer, and it'll go in here. So let's just try and order an energy core. Pick it up for the quest, I think. Yep. So now it's the same process, we just encode the recipe in the encoder. And then this time we're going to have 3 packages to unpack at the other side because there's more items. So we just need to craft each of the 3 items. I'm sure we have everything, maybe not. Alright, looks like we can do index 0. That just might take a minute to craft. Alright, I think I added all the recipes. Let's see about making the index 1. That looks good. And the index 2. Just the let's go glass block, which is easy enough to fix. There we go, and add that to our molecular assemblers. This is getting pretty full actually. Yeah, we have a lot of recipes encoded now. Anyways, that should be the final package able to be processed. Alright, all the recipe packages finished processing here, so we can now put in the pattern for the core. So it'll be processing pattern, click this in, clear this, and then index 1, index 2, index 0. That was a bit of a weird order, but that is them all, so that can now go into the unpackager. Alright, filters are set. Let's try this craft. So, fusion crafting. It should say 3 packages. Yep. I hope this works. It's looking good. It's crafting, as long as it pulls it out when it's finished. And this is taking a long time. How much energy does this recipe use? A lot. A lot. I hope our reactor's still working. I actually checked on it last night when I was building, and it turned off, and I'll show you the reason why in a second, but basically I cut off our fuel source when I was building. Alright, finished. Nice. Did it complete the craft in JEI? Yes it did, yes. So we now have a fusion crafting core. Oh, it also can be replicated with UU matter. I wonder if that's actually worth it or not. It probably is, considering the expense of the materials here. Let's actually check the UU supply, considering I used that to print all the pistons the last time. So that's full, and this is at what, 9,000 millibuckets? It's probably worth just to scan it, even though we'll lose this one, so we'll have to use the 1,000 millibuckets. So in order to use the crafting core, we're going to need injectors as well, which aren't too bad for the basic tier. We should just be able to auto-craft these. Looking through these recipes, I think 10 is the max we're going to need. Seems to be 5 on each side is the max for the recipes in here. I haven't come across anything that's any bigger. So let's just start off with 10 just now. So for this fusion crafting configuration, I'm sure you can have it like all on the one wall as well. And actually I might do that, I might switch it to be like this. So that we have like just 2 sides using the injectors. It might look a bit cleaner. I was originally going to put them on all sides, but like surround the core like we do here, but I think this might work out a bit better. Something like that. Maybe lower these 1. Yeah, I like that a bit more. And I think this time we have to power the injectors rather than the core. So I'm just going to set this up for auto crafting, and then I'll show you what I have afterwards. So I've set up the fusion crafting here. I have interface next to the storage crate similar to this, only this time we don't have to use PackagedAuto. The few recipes that do require more than 9 items, I don't think I'm going to set on autocraft, because it's things like tools that we're only ever going to make once, so I can just handcraft those. The first recipe I want to make is the upgrades to these crafting injectors, which is up to Wyvern tier. So I've put in the recipe here for them. It should all be put in the storage crate and then distributed among these injectors. One more thing I have to add is the input for this, or the input and output. Alright, I've added an extra line here for the input and output. I want to just try this thing and see if it works. So we have all the materials. Alright, looks like the craft started. We're charging. So I have this, the way this fusion crafting course works is it emits a redstone signal if there's an item in here. It'll also start crafting when it receives a redstone signal, so we just have to loop that back, and we have to basically export from this when it receives the signal from this. So let's see if this completed item gets pulled out now. It does. It should have went back into the AE system and completed the craft. Yep. So I'm gonna do this for all of these to upgrade to Wyvern tier. Alright, this is the last one here now, crafting. This is actually working really well, and yeah, it's good to see that all the automation's working for all the previous crafting steps as well. Just make sure when you place these back, you set it back to single item mode as well. I did actually waste injector. I've got an extra one because it crafted an extra. Oh, I actually missed one as well. So yeah, you can see here all the materials it takes for one of these injectors. Mostly it's just for the Draconic course, but of course we have it all automated now, so, and it's pretty fast as well. It's just if it has to craft Palace or any of those other actually additions materials, it has to go through the Empowerer. So I think I will move all those recipes over to this extended crafting pedestal here. And it's just going to be a matter of changing the filters, but it shouldn't be too difficult, to be honest. So yeah, we can even time in the bottle this, and the sounds get a bit crazy, but it does speed it up quite a bit. There we go. So with access to fusion crafting, we now need to get into Awakened Draconium. Or for that, we probably want to start growing the seeds. I definitely want to have this Draconium seed so that I don't have to make Draconium through this fusion crafting every time. We're going to need over a stack for these ultimate ingots eventually. Plus more for the Draconic energy cores, which are also used in different recipes. So I think the recipe for Awakened Draconium, the first time you do it anyway, or we might need to do this a few times to get the seed, but it requires the Dragon Heart, Grains of Infinity, some Draconic cores, Dragonstone, which is a Botania thing from Mana Diamonds, and Grains of the End. So I think next time we'll set up the Draconium seeds, and I'll get that going, because I want to have that building up quite nicely for the end game. And then I think I want to continue with Draconic Evolution, so I want to get all the armor. I got the bow actually for my quest reward, which is quite nice, but yeah, I want to get all the armor, and that's going to require the Twilight Forest, so maybe we'll do that next time actually. One last thing before we end today, I did go ahead and move all the Empowerer recipes over here. So we have all the actually additions empowered recipes, the control circuits, and also the cell frames. And this works so much quicker. I also added a second crafting core. The reason I added the second one was just for charged draconium, because the recipe takes 2 of the exact same items, so we can't filter the middle item here on this pedestal. And it really doesn't cost any extra. I mean, these crafting cores are pretty cheap to craft anyway, so I also remember to disable limit on this as well, so it's really, really quick to craft this. So yeah. This is all working really nicely. Next time we'll get on to the armor, like I said, and yeah, I'm going to end it here. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.